So this is Mel, who's our community management lead for our team. She's going to tell you what that's all about, and I'll come on a bit later. If you've got questions, it's welcome tonight, right? We had a third speaker tonight, but unfortunately one of our staff was sick, so she couldn't make it. So we've got extra time, which means we've got lots of question time, right? So if you've got questions for us, please ask. And then at the end, we might do a little bit more of a deeper question and answers, right? So we'll dig into some problems that you currently have. So feel free to keep those ready. Otherwise, Mel, all to you.
Hi everybody, my name is Melinda. Everyone at the Attention Seeker calls me Mel. And yeah, I head the community management team at Taz. And basically a little bit about me, I moved here around 6 years ago from Malaysia, truly Asia. And yeah, I moved here for university actually, and I came here knowing not a lot of people here and not a lot about the country, but then I was just like compelled to come here. And yeah, so when university wrapped up, I came here for university. I thought to myself, wouldn't it be cool to see whether I could just make a life for myself here without any connections and see if I can build something up from scratch. And I guess the fact that I get to do these things, thank you, Stanley, gives me an answer to that. And yeah, when I first came to the Attention Seeker, it was April last year. So it's crazy to think that now we're a team of 4 and we're managing communities for the likes of like One New Zealand, Pizza Hut, and a band that you might know, 660. And yeah, at a level well above what we were doing before. So that's really cool. And I guess like when I was thinking about the presentation that I was about to do today, I've done this presentation before actually, but it just seemed right for this space. I mean, the word culture and community is there, and it's very much revolved around there. But yeah, a question that came to mind was that a lot of times when we're thinking about marketing for a new brand or business that comes on board at Taz, is how do we help them stand out? And more specifically, how do we help them kind of win amongst all the noise and competition that's out there right now? For context, this is like my 3rd agency now, and I want to say that I'm no stranger to jumping on trends and theories as to which algorithm changes might help a client or push a content further. But it's become pretty apparent, especially in recent years, that the relationship that a brand has with its audience is really where it's at. And I mean, if you're wanting the numbers on that, there's a 222% increase year on year for engagement first campaigns throughout the industry. And it's why we really do fan service content here at Taz in addition to the fan acquisition stuff that we do. And it's also the reason why we invest a lot in community management for the brand. We call this at Taz adding to the lore, but really it's about creating a culture around the brand through intentional touch points of your audience. And this can take a lot of forms, really. We take commentary and we get that to drive the trajectory of our content, but we also take the approach of replying to every single comment, and it really depends on the audience of the brand. So yeah, there's like different strategies that we take on, which are highly tailored depending on the client. And yeah, it's really not just us. The word community has been thrown a lot on social media. I'm sure you guys would have seen it on LinkedIn. There are a couple brands that we know that already do it on there, and we've seen brands on TikTok just jump on viral trends, and no one asked, but there's an example of a brand that we did that actually popped off, and Booking.com actually went in and commented as well. And yeah, I guess what I'm trying to say here is that it's not just about responding to comments anymore. It's about doing it in a way that helps you nurture a relationship with your audience and create a brand culture through that. So yeah, let's take One NZ for example. Early on, they're one of our first bigger clients for Taz, and early on for their rebrand, we noticed a lot of like themes when it came to the comment section, and one of them was that people were really ripping into the logo, and there was a comment specifically about how kindergarten kids could have done better, and so we leaned into that and had a little bit of fun with it, and created a whole docu-series around that. And then we also noticed when they started pushing out their sponsorship with Warriors that there was some heated dialogue between commenters about OG versus bandwagon fans. So we leaned into that as well and created content around that. And as you can see in the bottom left here, that worked out really well for us. And of course where it made sense, we created more opportunities for them to kind of celebrate the Warriors as well, because a lot of 1NZ customers are Warrior fans. I don't know if any of you guys here are Warrior fans. And yeah, we created a lot of space for them to celebrate them as well. And while doing all that, we stayed true and consistent to their optimistic tone of voice, making sure that we represented them as true as they are, the optimistic and like fearless brand that's forward thinking and always here for a laugh and banter where they can. And all of these things combined over time really added to some pretty cool results. Within 2 months, the brand started off with I want to say 59% positive brand sentiment when we first started with them. And within 2 months, it got to an 82% positive brand sentiment. And now we're sitting at a 91% positive brand sentiment as well. And I guess don't just take my word for it. Meta also did a brand lift study that showed a 4.1 uptick in brand affinity. And brand affinity is essentially whether people love your brand. And that's really cool considering the fact that the telecom norm, like throughout the world, is 0.9. So if you're doing the math on that, there's like a 300% increase on brand affinity. Which brings me back to this. At the end of the day, algorithms and trends, they come and go, and your relationship with your audience is really what holds. Yeah, that's a funny little graphic there. And yeah, so if you want to win in 2024, my advice is to put community at the forefront of your brand and always be thinking about the culture that you're creating for them as a whole. People often forget that social media is first and foremost social. Like they say, a party is only as good as its host. And you don't want to invite someone to the dance floor and leave them dancing alone. So my advice to you is get in the comments, have a little bit of fun, and in time the results will show. But remember, do it in a way that you want to nurture your relationship with your audience and always be thinking about the culture that you're building for them as a whole. And that is me.
Any questions so far?
What brand genres do you particularly involve yourself in?
We work with a variety of brands, and I like to say that everyone needs community management, but it depends on the audience and who you're talking to. There's we have 1NZ, which is a telco, and then we have restaurant brands, and we also have bands like 660. So it's really about when people come to us, we just kind of work to understand their audience, and we just take it from there. It's no one size fit all.
Like everything from accountants through to leadership coaches, all the way up into big name brands, to bands, So like Mel said, everyone needs comm management. Everyone should reply. I like the line that she said, which is quite a good one. You don't invite people to the dance floor and then leave them there. Yeah. It's the same thing. Don't put out great content and just let people sit. Yeah.
Is it true that it fixed the algorithm somehow when you delete a comment?
When you delete a comment? I wouldn't say it affects it, but I think it doesn't help it. The more comments that you have, it adds to engagement, and engagement is ultimately what pushes content to you. So when you're looking at a piece of video and you engage with it, it tells the platform that you like that kind of content. And generally, we aim for people to kind of take an action on our content, essentially. So that's why a lot of our stuff with Attention Seeker is follow us, or it's a lot of like Joni and Stan trying to stick it up to Stan about followers and all that.
There's ways of, if you have comments you don't like, there are ways now on the platform you can hide.
You see quite an increase in racist comments. I just delete them.
So you can, there's a function to hide comments now. There's a function you can hide. So the user who put the comment out doesn't know that you've hidden them. They still see their comment, but no one else can. So Instagram's real easy, it's just there. TikTok, you need to do it through a platform A. Is that right? Or can you do it now?
I think you need to do it through a platform.
Yeah, I think you need to do it through a platform.
Yeah.
I think you can do it now through TikTok's analytics platform, maybe.
Yeah.
But you can't just do it in app. But Instagram, Facebook, you can just YouTube, you can just hide them straight in there, which is quite good.
And I always say to clients that like it's an opportunity to show your stance on a certain subject, because like we're in a place in the world where like when you're sitting in the middle, you're not really standing for anything. So it's really good to be able to take that courageous step and just like say how you feel, like demonstrate your values. True response.
I think probably a lot of businesses like mine are probably just getting trolled by people because we
sure.
had this problem 6 months ago. But and we create products, bilingual products, and we just the last 6 months, every week I'm just deleting. And they're all user 3,000, all those kind of shitty accounts.
Yeah.
And so I just wondered, because my views have really dropped. I keep thinking, it's going to keep deleting all the comments.
Yeah.
Probably having an argument with them might help. Because they know
For
where
sure.
to come to,
Yeah.
They kind of randomly found me, like we had
Yeah.
they probably follow you, right? Yeah, that's
Yeah.
something kind of like,
Yeah.
To Mal's point, if you're like quite measured in your response,
Yeah.
and like, just respond, but quite measured in it, like if that's the tone you want to take, and then don't have to fight, just measured response, and if they keep going, let them keep going, the rest of the audience will understand. And like in hotels, when I used to run hotels for a living, like people will give you negative comments, but it was always, not always, sometimes they're legit, but you have negative comments that were stupid, they didn't make sense, they're just whatever. You just responded back with, I'm so sorry that you felt that way, give me a call, let's go have coffee and we'll sort it out. But no one ever calls you because they're full of shit,
Yeah.
Like, they're full of shit. Just do it, and then everyone else who watches and reads is like, well, you tried to respond and be reasonable. They're being a dickhead. So yeah, I wouldn't delete that. There's no need. If you really don't want it on your page because it's hurtful and hateful, just hide it. Because what happens if you delete, they come back. Because then they're like, oh, you deleted my comment, and it can cause a shitstorm.
Yeah.
What are you gauging your success on? Are you gauging it on the views, content, like the number of views, or are you gauging it by likes, or are you doing it on comments? Because my questioning around that would be, so these are big brands, and they've obviously got thousands of followers anyway. What do we do when the little ones just starting off and we've only got like 800, 900 followers and things like that? So what are we gauging the success of posts?
Yeah. I mean, there's two answers there. I'll answer real quick, and Mal can answer from a comms management perspective because it's a little different to me. The simple answer is that what did you do it in the first place for? So if you did it for views, are you getting them? And if you're not, then it wasn't successful, right? So what was the purpose of doing it in the first place? If you're trying to get people to comment or like or buy products or whatever, if that metric isn't happening, then you weren't successful, were you? Because you said I needed to get more sales, I'm not getting more sales, so you can't ever say it's successful then. So being really clear up front with why you're going there is important to measure success. However, when you talk about the big brands versus small brands, we're bigger than most of the brands in New Zealand, and we're a tiny team of 30 in Ponsonby. 1NZ, we're 20 times larger than them on social media, right? So like a small outfit can easily overtake these big guys. So you don't actually have a battle against the giants anymore because of the way the algorithms work, which is, I want to show you content that you're interested in, not content because you follow me. We joke about I joke about at least that the fastest way to stop seeing people's content is to follow them. As soon as you follow someone on TikTok, you stop seeing their content. It's normal. Like our latest video, they got 2.8 million views, 1% of them were our followers. right? So the follower count doesn't really matter when it comes to that. The trick is that if you want to get that viewership, make good content. If you make good content and it gets viewership, it'll get more likes, it'll get more comments, because as Mel said, those are what drive the traffic anyway. And then if you do that, you're like, there's a flow-on effect that you can also get them to buy more stuff, whatever it is that you're selling.
If they stay in the algorithm, if there's more interaction with it, it becomes each and more people see it.
Yeah, it's real simple. Like, think about it from the platform's perspective. They make money by showing ads. They can show people ads by them being on the platform longer. People are going to stay on the platform longer if they're seeing content they like. So they have indicators inside their algorithm that tells them this is a good piece of content, show it to more people. They're more likely to stay on the platform, and then you can show them more ads. That's how the algorithm thinks, right? That's all it is. It's just trying to sell. They're just a business trying to make money. So they don't care who you are. You know, like with 800,000 followers on our TikTok, we can have a video go out and get 5,000 views if it's shit. You know, so they don't care. It's just got to be good. And so yeah, don't worry about follow counts. Like follow counts really are like, if you think about vanity metrics in today's world, everyone used to call it as views. Nah, it's followers. Followers mean fuck all.
Okay. We had this, we're so open social media. And I said, you can just feel like you've done the best ad, the best post, like, you're going to get not one person even like it. And you're like, it's just so disheartening. And as you said, it just makes you want to retreat back into the other one and
like without like sugarcoating it, the content sucked. That's it. Like, but it's good to know. But like that's better to know than, oh, how do I control this multinational company that I don't even know how to talk to? That's a shit way to look at it, right? It's not. They just make better content because you can control that. If it didn't work, it sucked. It's like, I'm sorry, but like, just find out how to make it better, and that's the only thing. And like the first thing you said is, oh, you spend all this time making an ad. Well, there was the problem in the first place. You made an ad. Like, how many of you guys look at and read ads on social media? Put your hand up how much you love looking at ads. Yeah, no one, right? So as soon as someone sniffs an ad out, oh, they're gone. They're out. No, but I know what you mean. But like, but that's probably mindset anyway. Like, I'm not picking on you because actually it's probably everyone in the room. It's everyone we ever talk to. One NZ try and make content for them. Like, oh, can we sell some shit? No, fuck. We're not making ads. We're making content, right? So the thing is, if you have the mindset of I need to help. My mindset, my goal is get sales. Well, what's the best way to get sales? Tell people to buy my shit. That's what we all think. It's intuitive. You get it, right? Hey, look at this great product I got. Buy it. As soon as you do that, everyone swipes past. Right? We never sell in ours. Our most common comment on our thing is what? What do you guys actually do? What do you guys actually do? Yet all our business comes from organic content. We do no paid ads at all. Because people find out. People aren't stupid. Like, they'll click on the link and find out what you do and where you're at. So.
Yeah, and I guess from a comms management perspective, like with small businesses, it's like in the comms world, there's this phrase that comms management isn't a marketing strategy, it's a business strategy. At the end of the day, it's about nurturing a relationship with the customers that you currently have and like taking care of them through that way. I want to say a really good example of a brand that does this in New Zealand is Edinai Body. They do these like tanning mousses, and they really invested in community from day one in product development and taking on feedback from people because the founder had like issues like growing up with her skin and her skin confidence, and so she understood the struggle of her community. So yeah, like she was the person in the customer service emails, like just responding every single day, responding to every single comment, making sure that people who are asking about the product got it firsthand from the founder, who knew everything about it and everything about that world and their struggle. So yeah, it's more of like, I think of community management as a way of making sure that people feel heard and understood and listened to. And that's pretty much the gist of it.
Yep. Any more questions? Yep.
I just had a great framework that I use, because I'm a bit like you. I now love I don't care about algorithm. I really don't. I don't get into the head. I just go without whatever I feel people need and adjust to whatever. And the way that I did that is because this guy said to me, this is the listening. When people see you, they start to believe your credibility when you start posting. And if you're posting good, reasonably good stuff, you suddenly start to become credible. And when you become credible, then the trust starts to build. Credibility
Yeah.
builds trust. And then with trust comes the emotion of, do I feel safe with this person? And then underlying all of that is this person, what is the intent of this person, i.e. me? Is it for them, like me, or is it for the reader or the person?
The audience, yeah.
And when you keep that in mind, when you create content, it's around how do I serve?
Yeah.
And I don't even sell, I do for my but I don't want to worry about algorithm. All I look for is engagement comments.
Yeah.
That's all I look for. I don't worry about likes, nothing. Don't do analytics. Just focus on comments. When I'm getting comments over much, and slowly over time you get more content.
And it's like yours is a good example because I've watched your journey as it's gone, but Avi's the same. Like you comment, like you reply to comments. People now know when I comment on your stuff, you're going to reply. So then if they've got questions and answer, and it's like a feedback loop. Like the more you reply, the more they comment, they keep coming, and then other people see you doing it, and it just becomes this virtuous cycle of more and more comments and more people engaged. Once they start commenting, there's that principle of influence of commitment and consistency. So now they've made a commitment already to comment, and they're going to continue to act consistently into the future, which is they'll take like little bit more and more steps. So they'll comment more and more. They'll go to your website. They might go, you know what, I really need this shampoo that these guys make, so maybe I should buy theirs. You know, so they'll start acting consistently. So yeah, if you can get people in comments, just like you said, just straight into it, all over it.
So just, I think like how you get the racist comments. Like, would it be best to use them?
Yeah.
To get more comments from people who aren't racist, obviously, but it's going to allow more people to see your content, right?
For sure.
Is there characteristics of a New Zealand audience?
Tough.
I say that because I used to live in Samoa last year, and my TikTok was I would easily get 50,000 views, easy, every day. But it was surprising, the things that went off over there was just everyday life, like just the most tedious things. Just, it was but I could never post that kind of stuff here. So I keep thinking, what's the difference? What's the characteristics of a New Zealand viewer? What is a New Zealand viewer wanting to see?
You might have characteristics from tone, maybe, that you could speak to.
Yeah, I mean, I want to say if we're talking about tone, it depends on the platform. People are a lot more angry on Facebook. People are crazy.
It's my mum. Yeah.
People are a lot more crazy on Twitter, X Twitter, but generally TikTok. People are just there for a banter, and people don't really take things that seriously, except for a select few. But
there's always the extremes.
Yeah. But for the most part, like I don't. When a negative comment comes our way, I don't try to change their opinion. I try to change the feeling around the interaction. So if someone's unhappy with a service or anything like that, like their feelings are valid, you know? It's just about making people feel heard and understood, and kind of flipping that feeling into being like, there's this concept in marketing that we call a peak end rule, and people remember experiences from the peak of their emotion and the end part of it. So we don't want them to come away from the experience with your brand remembering just the peak negative emotion that they have. You want to end it on a positive note. So whatever we can do to make sure that if something does happen and it's fully like on the brand, like we try to go the extra mile and try to resolve the situation. We work really closely with the brand to try to figure out a good in between. But yeah, for the most part, it's not about changing their opinion because their opinion is valid. It's their truth, right? But it's about changing the feeling and the feeling behind the interaction. Yeah.
And then in terms of like different audiences, like Samoa versus New Zealand, the way that, like, was this TikTok?
I was on TikTok, but for some reason, Yeah, I had a huge audience in Australia, and it was weird.
Yeah.
In America, just watching all these like
Yeah.
daily life in Samoa was weird
Yeah,
as
yeah.
hell. But here in New Zealand, I just noticed it was really different.
So there's probably two things going on there. One, life in Samoa for people who don't live in the Pacific Islands is probably interesting, right? Because how many of us have lived in those places, like globally? Of the 8 billion people, the tiniest percentage have lived in the Pacific Island. So that's quite interesting. So that's the first part. Whereas like New Zealand's just a shitty little big country, like it's a small version of the big country, so it's not really that special anyway. And then also the algorithms often push out to a local audience first to test. Yeah, so I would hazard a guess that how many creators are in Samoa relative per capita compared to New Zealand is lower. And there's less content. So that initial pool probably enjoyed it. Oh, this is someone, and there's some content, and it gets a little bit. So then it goes a bit further, and then it gets to that broad audience. That would play a smaller part, I would say. I think the first bit is the content was better, because it was more interesting, right? Like, what's daily life in Samoa like compared to daily life in Ellerslie? Which one are you guys going to watch? Like,
I got like a couple of 100,000 views of me going through a drive-through, and comments people go, "Is there a drive-through in Samoa?"
Yeah, see,
oh my Lord.
That's interesting.
I was like, "Yes, there's McDonald's there." I'm like, I had no idea. Like, it's really weird.
Exactly. That's
Okay,
interesting,
sorry.
right? So it's good. It's better content. It's more interesting. It might not be better made. That's not better, right? So that's a big thing. Like production value and like quality is not what we're talking about. It's the story. Is the story better? Yeah. The best story always wins. Yeah. Any other questions? Oh yeah, let's go. We got one at the back and then we got two here. Oh, no, you go ahead. Okay, you go first. You go first and then green. Yep. Leather jacket and then green jacket.
Is there, from a strategical perspective, a better time to respond to comments? I remember a few years ago, I was told to, when I post on Facebook, for example, reply to comments in the first 10 to 15 minutes and then leave the piece of content for the algorithm to do its thing and generate more exposure. Is that still the case?
I like to say as soon as possible, but that's not always realistic. So we do have a general rule, depending on the client, that we respond to any comments that come through within 24 hours. But as a rule of thumb, it's like as soon as possible, because usually when videos drop, like whenever we drop a new video on Taz, we are sitting there waiting for the comments and replying to it as it comes. And then after that, we just kind of leave it be, and then we wait for the next day, and then we do the rest of it. But for the most part, as soon as possible.
Yeah, as time permits. Like we only stop commenting because the guys clock off and go home. Like unfortunately they won't work all night for me. But yeah, as soon as possible is good. I personally don't really think it's an algorithm thing. Because of I don't think the rate at which you respond or the time that you get back affects the algorithm. I think what affects the algorithm is that if in that initial period when all the hype's there, if you're responding, people are coming back to read your response, other people are getting involved in it, and that while it's going off, there's commentary going on and conversations are happening. And you only have that moment while the video is performing to do that. Because as soon as it's not, people get bored, they won't come back, and then there's new people not coming in. I don't think it's the time. That's not the piece, it's the conversation that you're creating that's the important part. So that's why we try to do it as soon as possible, because you're in the conversation as the people are there. Because the life cycle of a video isn't long, or a piece of content, it's not very long, it doesn't last that. It's longer now actually than it used to be, but it's still short. Yeah, good question.
How do you encourage people to comment? Because obviously that creates community and culture, right? I find it really hard to get my audience to actually comment. Are you going to say?
You go first and then yeah. I was going to say, I'll let Mel go first and then I'll say my
A simple answer to that would be just call to actions, and usually when you put out enough content, someone will latch on and you really reward that interaction. And a lot of times, a thing that we've been trying a lot with a lot of our clients is that we have this one guy on our Pizza Hut videos that keeps asking for free pizza. It's like day one of asking for free pizza, and we're waiting for the day that he gets to a certain amount of days for us to leave that comment being like, get this to 100 likes,
Yeah.
and then we'll give him a free pizza. And it's like small, surprising delight tactics like that over time really add up to like helping your community feel like connected with your brand.
Can I get something on there?
Yeah.
When we're talking about engagement, so you're putting out posts and you're seeing that there's no interaction happening, you ask the question of yourself, how many times have you gone on other people's posts and shown your love to them?
Yeah.
You're not doing that to others. Why are you expecting others to come and support you?
Definitely, especially on platforms like LinkedIn, it's really important because on a platform like LinkedIn, your comments fuel your engagement for sure. As a brand on social, I mean, you put examples up here today. If you're a brand commenting as a brand on other people's content and getting into it, people start to see you get into it. Like my favorite example is Wendy's. Like Wendy's, their whole strategy is commenting, right? That's their whole strategy, and they crush it. Like Twitter, they're the best on Twitter. Like they get in there and they comment on people's stuff, and then they like they will start a whole campaign, marketing campaign in other people's comments, you know. And then people get onto their content, like fueling it, like, you know. So it's a back and forth mutual thing.
A really funny example that actually was shared in the community management work chat today was it's this video of Jennifer Lopez, and she was seeing Ben Affleck. And Ben Affleck is really fluent in Spanish, and she should be, but she's not. And she was on this like daytime show trying to say something in Spanish, but she was just struggling. And then you could see the top comment was Duolingo being like, a reminder to practice your Spanish today, guys.
That's perfect. That sort of stuff's perfect. And then what Mel was saying about like interacting in comments and getting like call to actions. I mean, that's how this kid got hired, right? He rocked up to our studio with this giant CV. We made this funny video of it, and then in the comments, like we saw it started going off, and in the comments I was like, if this gets 1,000 comments, then we'll give him an interview. And we did it on Instagram and TikTok, and both of them got like 2,000 something, right? And so, I mean, it's not the only reason he got hired. He can actually do the job. He is actually a good kid. But like, it was funny because it was like a video. He actually literally did walk up to our studio with a giant CV, which was funny. We made a funny video out of it. But then because we just asked the audience, like they all got in behind it. They thought it was hilarious, the video. Comment, and if you comment enough, we'll give them an interview. We were going to give them an interview anyway, but they didn't need to know, you know, and it went off. So yeah.
So a lot of it's about having fun too.
Oh, it's all about having fun.
Opposed to being so like obsessed with a result.
Yeah, 100%. Like, people need to feel like they're not just talking to a robot. People need to feel like they're talking to people. And yeah, at the end of the day, that's how you get people to trust you.
Good question. Did you have another? Did you have another?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I was interested in, you know, when you're working with an organisation, particularly individuals, how do you work with them to identify who they are or how they want to be seen and their message? You know,
I don't know if I've got time.
because a lot of people, you know, I work
Yeah, I
in
know.
this space, so a lot of people don't have much clarity. So when they come to you, how do you get that out of them so that their persona, their habla, is replicated?
I'll leave that to Stan.
Yeah. That is like actually a question that like, can I answer that in a quick answer? Nah, not at all. Time and patience is probably the answer. Like, don't underestimate how hard that is. Like, it's real hard. You got to listen to people, ask them the right questions. You got to let them blabber on for a bit, because like when people blabber and you just stay quiet, they fill the void. And then the more you didn't do that, the more, the closer they get to the truth as well. Because people come in with their guard up. You know, they sit in a room. There's them and like 8 of us, all like, come on, when is it? When did you first shit your pants? You know, like tell us. And they're not going to tell you, but you just leave it for a bit, and then they finally tell you, oh, well, I was 4, and they do. They just start unveiling everything, right? How do you do it? Like, I don't know. It's a bit hard. There's a lot to it. Like, we try to teach it in our team, and it's not easy. Like, Nate, who's our head of strategy, he's 51 and he really struggles to teach it. It's just an experience thing, I think. You know, I think that's why you're good at it too. Like you've been in this career for a while. That's why you're good at it. You know, it's like same as Nate. He's really good at it. He's just done it for ages. And when we get the younger guys come in, it's harder for them to like know where to take the conversation next. But yeah, I think for most of it, it's time and patience. Like you ask the question and you sit on it. Just let them sit in it. People hate silence. And so they'll just start to open up and you give them the space to do it. And you don't rush it. Our onboarding period with our clients is 6 to 8 weeks. It's not fast. Yeah, it's really long. Like we won't onboard you in a week or two. It's just, we'll just tell you to bugger off. Like we can't do it, we'll fail. Like the job, we won't get what we need out of you. We need to like interview, let you go away for a week. Your mind will start racing and all these other things will come up. Oh, I should have said this. Cool, remember it, come back. You know, we're going through a cohort program at the moment. Rod is in it with us. And it's a 12-week program that we're doing with these guys. And we could realistically get through this in a week. Like you could just, it's 24 hours of work with them, right? So you could do that in 3 days, right? But the reason you can't do it is because you haven't got the time and space to let those ideas develop in the head, and especially entrepreneurs and business people. Like once you've got a seed planted, like your fucking mind starts going racing and you've invented 42 new businesses by the time you come back to the next thing. And you know, so you got to let that space for them. Outside of that, I don't know, it's hard. I'm lucky in that, like, I decided to make some investments in people early who I knew could help support me with that line of questioning with clients and give them the space and the know-how. You know, like when we hired Nate, I mean, he's fucking expensive. The guys will tell you, like, you know, we're all jealous of the salary, including me. But without him, like, we wouldn't be here. Our business wouldn't have gone. We would never have secured some of the clients that we've done. The things that he does when he does, it's magical. You know, the rest of the time, fuck, where is he? Who knows? But when he does the thing he does, oh, it's worth every penny. You know, worth every penny. Like Rod will tell you, like we're in this cohort and he's doing 7 single-minded propositions at once. And it's like, how the fuck are you even got the capacity for this? Like, and he's just like, oh yeah, it's this, and this. And everyone's like, oh yeah, that is me. Like you just unpack their whole life and like, I don't know how he did it. I don't know. I have fucking no idea. I can do it, but not as quick as he can, you know, like, and that's experience. It wasn't quick actually, it took him 50 years to figure that out, you know, so it's a long process, yeah. All right, got a question? Yeah, go.
Sorry, now you talked about looking for a brand and helping them lift their positive brand sentiment from like a lower score to higher one. How do you measure that across different platforms that kind of have different demographics, like Facebook, the LinkedIn, and TikToks? And what's the process look like for validating that with the brand's kind of core customer base?
Yeah.
So before you, can you just repeat the question? I didn't hear all of it. In your answer, please. Thank you.
So you're saying how do we measure like the sentiment over time, basically?
And across platforms?
And across platforms. So we actually have a tool and it's called Sprinkler. And we use it to it's a way that we engage with comments, but it's also a way that we report. And every single comment is logged under topics. Yeah, under topics, campaigns, and then that is kind of compiled as a whole towards the end of the month to kind of inform future campaigns and how we want to bring the brand forward. Yeah, we have a really special tool for that, and it just literally is going into every single comment and logging it. And yeah, it's like 900 comments a week.
Yeah, look, as a small business, if you're a small business, I would, and you're not paying an agency to do this for you, then you probably also don't have the revenue to pay for a system like Sprinklers. They're enterprise level software, and so they just charge stupid amounts of money, right? So if you really want to track it and you can't afford something like that, or you don't want to spend that sort of money on a stupid piece of software, just, but you really want to understand sentiment, just log it yourself manually. Get a spreadsheet and just log it. And the best way to log it, you won't have all their data-driven stuff, but you can do just like a tally, like that was a positive comment, that was a negative one, that was a positive one, that was a negative one, and just have a piece of paper and just scratch through as you're commenting and replying back, and just divide them. Like you don't need it. Having that's way better because it's easier, and you can actually reply to the comments in Sprinkler and track them and make cases for them, and pass them to other team members, and it's an enterprise level software. But fuck, who wants to pay that fee? When you're not you probably don't even spend that on your ad budget. What it's going to cost to run this software.
And I always say that, like, at the end of the day, the sentiment of the comment at the time doesn't mean that your future sentiment is going to be bad. It means that, okay, we know that we're getting more bad comments now, and just asking yourself why, and if there's anything within like what you did that month that you want to change. If not, then just go forward, because that's essentially who you are, and you'll attract the people that get it, and you'll kind of weed out the people that don't.
Yeah.
That's what we do with Attention Seeker as well. So.
Yep, exactly. Like the racist comments, you'll eventually get rid of them because you just respond appropriately and move on, and then they'll stop coming because they're not getting a bite out of you. Yeah.
Sorry, you got to talk. But can I ask, if you've developed an account and you're attracting a whole sort of different group of people that you didn't expect to, I think I know the answer for myself, but would you go and start a new account for what you originally planned to, or try to take all of that audience with you to a new account?
Oh, can you say it once more, just to make sure I got it right?
So I start off an account to try to promote my business.
Yep.
Every time I talk about my business, I get like 200 views. It's ridiculous. But if I talk about the business of being in business, then it gets really high, right? And so people are more interested in the small business journey, right? The organization. But I'm like, I don't want cheerleaders following me. I want people.
Why not?
Because I want people who want to buy my products, not who want to know my small business journey.
Why are they different first?
Yeah, there was a story. So I keep thinking, oh, how do I move all them off? Or
move them into
you move them in, and then should I go create another account that'll just be for like my products? I want people
Stationary?
Yeah, stationary. So I just want to talk to like nerds. I want to just talk to stationary people.
Yeah.
That's what be
But like, think about who
but everyone following me wants
who
to
follows
buy
business content? Business people.
Business people.
Yeah, will they buy stationary?
No.
No. Like what I mean is like, first of all, I think like, either one, your stationary topics are obviously just shit content, all right? So it's maybe better content. But also,
I can find my people.
but honestly, also like, why not just build a massive audience based on small business journey, and then a percentage of them will want to buy stationary. They will, of course they will. Like, you know, like my content on my personal stuff is not like, even on my LinkedIn, I never talk about marketing. I talk about my team, I talk about how much of a prick boss I am, and that's about it, and my journey through business, right? And then people are like, oh, I love this guy, I resonate with him, let's do business together. It's only a tiny, tiny percentage of my audience, but I only need that tiny percentage. You know, it's enough, like, yeah, it'd be nice to have 1 million customers, but do you need 1 million customers actually? Could you even handle if 1 million orders came through? You'd probably fuck your business up, right? You'd be in backlog, and then now you're dealing with fake comments. You know, so just, I don't know. Like,
So if that's what attracts people, you should stay there.
if you don't enjoy it, that's a different thing. If you don't enjoy making that sort of content and you're just doing it for likes, then you probably could, just change it. You don't have to start a new profile, just change the content. Change the content.
Thank you.
And it's not getting views.
It's not getting the views.
Make better content. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
All
and
right.
like if you look at Red Bull, they rarely ever promote the product. They promote the lifestyle of being a Red Bull person.
Yeah.
And essentially that's what people gravitate towards.
Yeah.